A while back, I made a video listing some things that I think are major red flags in toxic schools. So in this video, I want to run through a list of what I consider green flags. These are really good things you see in schools that make you think, yeah, I'd probably work here. Because I think when you're working in a school, you can get so wrapped up and lost in the little world of your school that you don't always realise what it's like elsewhere. I'm incredibly lucky now in the job that I do, where I visit and I travel to all different schools, so I certainly see the good, the bad and the ugly, and I get messaged from teachers talking about great things and some awful toxic things, and it does make you really appreciate what you've got, because we all know no school's perfect, but sometimes the grass isn't always greener. First up, and this is the most important thing for me, there is a real culture of trust in the school. Always said the best way in which to improve well-being in teachers is to trust them to do the job that they're capable of doing. Teachers don't need to be micromanaged. They don't need to be overly observed and scrutinized. They are professionals. They know what to do. They just need trust and time to do it. If the school prioritizes feedback over marking, that is a good sign, because we all know marking 99% of the time is a complete and utter waste of time. And so many schools just expect teachers to mark when teachers know full well it's not for the benefit of the children, it's whoever checks the books. There are so many more effective ways to give feedback, and if schools are focusing on allowing teachers to do that, not only can it save time for teachers, but it's also going to have a bigger impact on children's learning. This one is a big one for me. Risk-taking is encouraged, because if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be where I am today. The fact that I was allowed to try new ideas out, innovate, is what's led me to be where I am today, and I'm so lucky and fortunate and thankful to my school for that. I do find it hilarious the amount of schools I visit where they've got all these displays about growth mindset, and the message to children is, build resilience, show perseverance, take a risk. You've never failed until you stop trying, yet teachers are not allowed any autonomy over the curriculum they're teaching. They're never allowed to take a risk, do something different, be innovative. They're just on a conveyor belt of PowerPoint worksheet. And learning is messy. Mistakes do happen. Teachers should go on that journey with the students. I always say, children, we never fail. We either win or we learn. Big one here, but it's understanding that every school member of staff is human and therefore have things going on outside of school. Respecting those boundaries, respecting that teachers should not be on call 24/7. They need time for themselves. They need the opportunity to switch off and focus on the most important resource in the classroom, which is them, is really important. So, being careful about when you send emails, when you expect things done, all those sort of things, to respect those boundaries is really important. I did mention in the red flag video about having a high turnover of staff being a massive red flag. So I put it in here about a low turnover of staff, but it's key here. It shouldn't be a case that there's never anyone leaving, because I think that can make things quite stale and toxic in some cases. Change is inevitable. The odd teacher moving on, new teachers coming in can bring, can be a breath of fresh air. That's important. But I'm amazed Ofsted don't look at staff turnover in schools, because if it is massively through the roof, that is a clear red flag that leadership, it's not going well. On the point of leadership, a green flag is when your leadership back you. I've been incredibly fortunate at my school that my leadership have always backed me when it comes to parents and comes to loads of other things. And I think that if you don't feel that you've got the backing of your leadership team, it can make your job so much harder. The next one, and I know this doesn't happen in a lot of schools but needs to, is that when the staff meeting comes along and a new initiative is introduced, the conversation should always be, right, if we're going to start doing this, we can stop doing that. So we all know workload is still through the roof, and we should not be adding anything to that plate without taking something away. So working in a school where they do that and they say, right, we're going to do this, but it means we don't have to do that, massive green flag, because your workload is not going to increase. I should say at this point that sometimes you can just get rid of stuff anyway. You don't have to replace it with anything. If you're doing something that isn't going to have a direct impact on teaching and learning in class, while you're doing it, stop doing it, because that time saved can then have an impact on well-being, as we've talked about up here. And the last one for now, and I can't do a video like this without mentioning them, Ofsted. So if you work in a school where you're not hearing about Ofsted all the time, like they don't dictate everything that you do, that's a really positive sign. If you're in a school that just just knows it's part and parcel of it, but we're not going to play up to it. We're not going to just waste time, because we know these lot don't raise standards. We know they only care about justifying their own existence. We know our children more than anyone else. So if you're working in a school that are willing to say, look, we're just going to carry on doing what we're doing because we know what we're doing is working, and if Ofsted come in, we'll justify, we'll argue, we'll make sure they understand what we're doing works. Massive green flag. And of course, as always, if you think I've missed something here, let me know in the comments.